Hey guys, I hope you all are doing okay. So I've been meaning to make this video for literally ages now. I made one a couple years ago and didn't really think it would be that helpful, to be honest. Most of you have been asking me about my recent settings on next gen, so here is an updated version of it. Anyway, without dragging this, I'm just gonna get right into it. So if you're on PS5 and you go into settings, you will see three modes: fidelity or fidelity, whatever, performance RT, and performance mode. For those of you who don't know, fidelity mode offers 4K at 30 FPS, performance mode and performance RT mode both offer 4K at 60 FPS. You do not want to choose fidelity and fight with 2 pixels on your screen. However, if you're going for some sick shots, fidelity is definitely the way to go. If you're wanting to do some photography and stuff, the visuals are pretty crisp as you can see, but for PvP, it's just not it. The 2 modes you want to choose from is performance RT and performance mode. I ran a little FPS tool to see how the 3 graphic modes run. Fidelity mode is locked onto 30 FPS, so let's just not. In performance RT mode, the FPS seemed to drop down to like 40-50 FPS for a little bit. When I switched to explosives, I was just blowing things up. I noticed it would kind of drop a little bit, but for the most part, it remained locked to 60 FPS. The performance mode remained pretty steady. It did drop down just a tad bit when there were explosions, but not as much as performance RT. So according to these results and also trying PvP in both modes, I found the performance mode to overall be slightly better. The only difference I see is that the performance RT enhances the shadows, but the reflections in both the modes honestly look pretty much the same, so I'm not really sure what exactly they ray traced. Since there isn't much difference between the 2 modes, it's personal preference at the end of the day if you like seeing enhanced shadows whilst you're fighting, but I would personally recommend performance mode for PvP just to have a much smoother experience. But if you want to be AFK quite often, then you could use the performance RT mode. Your shadow quality will look top tier when you're standing still. So now that you have your chosen graphic mode, you're going to work on having the best setting for your suited game style. The settings shown in this video are suited to my gameplay. They may or may not work for you. You could always try it, tweak it, and see if it suits you. If you've seen my old settings video, this updated one is not crazy different. I have tweaked just a couple things. If you've played with a PS5 controller, you know it is pretty sensitive and quite responsive to touch. So I just played around with the settings a little bit, and this is what I use now. Okay, so I'm going to go over all my settings from the beginning. Controls, so you want to have your vibration, adaptive triggers, invert look, all of that off, just to avoid any distractions. I play on standard FPS 2, and I highly recommend this if you do not play on standard FPS 2 already. It is hands down the best control type you can play on. It works well for literally everything, sniping, all weapons, beach, base, city, one and gun, everything you can think of. Once you play on this setting, you will not want to go back to anything else. My third person aiming sensitivity is full. Also, just to let you know, a full maxed out setting would be about 14 bars, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, it's 14 bars high. The first person look around is 8 bars. My first person aiming sensitivity is 5 bars high. My third person look around is full. Okay, let's talk about dead zones. My dead zones on last gen was 0. Next gen, I have both my third person and first person dead zones to 4 bars high. And the reason for this is because the PS5 controller is very responsive, and dead zones are basically how responsive your sticks are. You can test it and see what works well for you, but I wouldn't recommend setting this too high, because the lower your dead zones are, the smoother and precise your aim will feel. I played around with this setting, and with 4 bars high, I felt like it worked the best for me. I think for next gen, having a dead zone somewhere in the middle would be just fine. My third person look acceleration is 7 bars high. My first person look acceleration is 4 bars high. If you care about spamming, this is the main setting you want to mess around with. The higher you have this, your spams could be all over the place, but the lower you have it, it might feel quite stiff and pretty slow. So having it somewhere in the middle or even like 3 to 4 bars could work well because the PS5 controller is pretty sensitive to touch. Allow movement zoomed on. Funny enough, I've actually gotten comments from people saying, how are you strafing? How are you moving side to side? This is why I am moving side to side, and if you turn it on, you can move side to side too. Camera settings. I always have my camera height set to high just so I can see better. Your first person field of view should always be set to max so you can see more of your surroundings. You want to have your ragdoll, combat roll and head bobbing, all of this off. I noticed head bobbing on next gen is way more wobbly and shaky when you have it on compared to last gen. Just make sure you turn that setting off. You don't want to have your head bobbing everywhere whilst you're fighting. First person, third person cover, I've got it on. And this is just personal preference. If you like to have your first person vehicle hood off or on, it's nothing to do with PvP anyway. Display, graphics mode, set to performance. I have my weapon target set to simple just because I like the fine tip. And I have this set to 1, 2, just 2 bars. I play with an expanded radar. As you can see, I know it could be a little distracting or just take up too much space, but I like having it on just to see what's going around the map when you're fighting. I just have it set to expanded instead of constantly spamming my D-pad. I have my motion blur strength turned all the way down. That may or may not affect your FPS, so I just have it all the way down anyway. You want to have your in-game depth of field effects off because if it's on, this is what is going to happen. It's just blurry, and yeah, you want to make sure that you can see it pretty clearly, so just turn that off. I have all my notifications off. I don't like anything popping up when I'm doing PvP. Rockstar Editor, this has nothing to do with PvP, but these are my settings. But yeah, that concludes my settings video. I hope I didn't miss anything. Let me know if there's anything specific you guys would want me to make a video on, but that is pretty much about it. I hope you all have a good one, and I will see you guys in the next video.
He messaged me, that's the ugliest GTA character I've ever seen.